We're recapping for you last year's football season and giving you some thoughts on next year's.
Primetime Sportz will be giving you an exclusive look into Georgia State softball team's first practice of the spring season.
Needless to say, Primetime Sportz starts now. And we begin with Georgia State athletics. They can now call Turner Field their new home. In late December, the Atlanta-Fulton County Recreation Authority chose Georgia State's $300 million bid for the stadium. Now, what does this mean for Georgia State? Well, in 2017, the current Turner Field inhabitants, the Atlanta Braves, will move to their new stadium in Cobb County. Once the move takes place, Georgia State will be free to make any renovations to better suit Panther athletics. However, the final deal has not yet been reached, so the renovation plans are not yet available. We'll have more updates as the story develops. Georgia State competes in its first ever football bowl game this past December against the Spartans of San Jose State. This was the Panthers' first chance to earn their first winning season since the inaugural year of 2010. Primetime Sports correspondent Caleb Johnson reports.
The first ever AutoNation sponsored Cure Bowl has been a peak to what has been a tremendous season for the Georgia State Panthers this year. Once faced with a 2-6 record, the Panthers won 4 straight games to finish off the year 6-6, giving themselves bowl eligibility with the 34-7 domination of Georgia Southern. When asked about how the Panthers have made such a major change and improvement on the past season, Coach Trent Miles said, quote, "This team, they bought in from day one." The Panthers faced a tough matchup in San Jose State University. The Spartans led for the first 3 quarters despite a strong performance by the Panther defense. The fourth quarter, GSU found hope with a botched Spartan punt that ended in a safety and a quick Nick Arbuckle-led touchdown drive. Unfortunately, the game momentum shifted back to San Jose State and stayed with them as GSU could not contain quarterback Kenny Potter, who finished with 86 rushing yards. The final score of 27-16 does not convey how close of a game the Spartan and the Panthers played. Optimism is the word to describe the upcoming season for the Georgia State Panthers. They have set the bar for future success in upcoming seasons. The Panthers will be bringing back this next year most of its current roster and will be replacing quarterback Nick Arbuckle with incoming Utah transfer Connor Manning. Primetime Sportz will be bringing you more information on him. For Primetime Sportz, I'm Caleb Johnson.
Thanks, Caleb. Despite the 6-win season and making a bowl game, could Trent Miles be on his way out of Georgia State? Rumor has it that the 3-year coach could be moving on to another program. Primetime Sports correspondent Rashad Milligan reports.
Yes, 2016 has just started, but we have drama already here within the Panther family. According to a source close to me, Trent Miles and head of the athletic program here, Charlie Cobb, are clashing heads. Cobb doesn't really like the way that Trent Miles does things. He doesn't like the way that he's involved with the Georgia State community or his personality or lack thereof, for a better term. But have no fear, because a source close to Charlie Cobb, he says he has breakfast with them every month, said that him and Miles have patched things up, and I suspect a contract extension to be signed by Miles soon. That was about a couple weeks ago. Still no contract extension has been signed. Just an interesting thing to keep your eye out on. I spoke with Charlie Cobb myself and asked him how the two are doing. He said they're doing all right, unless I know something that they don't. Just an interesting thing to keep your mind on. Trent Miles has turned around his second consecutive program after 2 losing seasons here at Georgia State to bring them all the way to their first ever bowl game. For Primetime Sportz, outside the Georgia State practice facility, I'm Rashad Milligan. Back to you. Play ball.
Interesting situation there. We'll continue to update you on this story as more things develop in the future. One guy we know for sure is moving on from GSU football is quarterback Nick Arbuckle. The Panthers' all-time leader in passing yards is set to graduate this semester and will no longer suit up for Georgia State. However, a new quarterback is heading towards ATL. Primetime Sports correspondent Jared Oliver has more.
Backup quarterback for the University of Utah, Connor Manning, announced a week ago that he will be transferring to Georgia State to play for Trent Miles and the Panthers. He earned his bachelor's degree in only 2 years, making him eligible immediately after transferring. Manning played high school football in the state of California, breaking numerous records, throwing for almost 10,000 passing yards and 88 touchdowns. He even broke former USC Trojan quarterback, modern-day high school quarterback Matt Barkley's single-season passing record, throwing for 3,940 246 yards. I was unable to speak with Trent Miles due to a coaching convention, but here's what we know about Connor Manning. He's a pro-style quarterback. He has solid pocket awareness. He needs to limit his mistakes, as any young quarterback does. But if there's any guy similar to Nick Arbuckle on this team now, it would be him, and he has a legitimate shot in winning the #1 starting job throughout the offseason. But we'll give you that, and we'll keep you up to date. This is Jared Oliver on the Georgia State campus, Primetime Sports.
Thank you and happy birthday, Jared. Georgia State's men's soccer team welcomes a new transfer. Center and left field and left back Alex Summerfield has transferred from England and is currently taking classes at Georgia State. While playing across the pond, Summerfield's team captured the ISFA South League National Cup and the ISFA South League. He'll officially join the team this spring in off-season workouts. Let's talk some basketball. Last night, Georgia State played its annual Barefoot for Bare Feet game to raise awareness for Samaritan's Feet. During these games, head coach Ron Hunter coaches literally barefoot. Heading into the game, Hunter was 8-0 all-time when coaching barefoot, and the streak continues as they defeated conference rival Louisiana Monroe 65-51. The women's basketball team also defeated Louisiana Monroe last night with a final score of 65-52. After a record-breaking 2015 campaign, Georgia State's softball team is preparing for this new season in hopes of continued success. Primetime Sports correspondent Nathan Nair reports.
The Georgia State softball team posted a record of 38-22 last year, finishing 5th in the Sun Belt Conference. Along with coach Roger Kincaid, shortstop Taylor Anderson, and sophomore catcher Ivy Drake are returning, and it's going to be a promising season for the Georgia State Panthers softball team. Sixth-year head coach Roger Kincaid wants to make sure that his team shakes off the rust after being away during holiday break. He wants to make sure that the fundamentals are front and center before the team opens up the season against Oregon.
We won't be focusing on Oregon in the first phase of our practices. We're focusing on getting ready, getting back to fundamentals, mainly getting back in shape because, they had a month off for Christmas break. So we're more or less going to start focusing on Oregon probably after the next couple of weeks, do some scouting reports, obviously, and look at some of their personnel. We just got to get in that mindset, come back, make sure we're doing the right things, fundamentally sound, and getting back in ball shape, basically.
With senior shortstop Taylor Anderson returning for her 4th and final year, coach considers her an incredible asset and also a leader for this softball team. Furthermore, coach believes that sophomore catcher Ivy Drake will have to make some slight adjustments to her game after having her first stint with the team last year.
Well, I think it's a tremendous asset to have somebody like Taylor Anderson who's played a shortstop position for us and been a 4-year starter. That's kind of a leader on the infield. She's kind of like our quarterback on the infield. So I'm glad to have her. Won't be glad when she leaves, but she is a senior, so we're expecting big things from her. As far as Ivy's concerned, she had a great freshman year. Scouting reports out on her now. Everybody's got a book. So now what she's got to do is make those adjustments, come back and have a great sophomore year. She's probably going to have to be patient because they're going to try to pitch around her. And then that puts a lot of, I won't say pressure, but it puts a lot of responsibility on the kids that are hitting around her to make sure they're doing the job so that they can't just walk Ivy and then pitch to the rest of the lineup.
Anderson was named to the All-Sun Belt first team at the shortstop position. Not only that, she started all 60 games last year, posting a batting average of .337 while being the team's leadoff hitter. Anderson finds it extremely important to see a number of pitches in order to relay that information to her teammates.
I like to see a lot of pitches to talk to my teammates about what the pitcher's throwing, and my job is just to get on base so everyone else can move me over.
Ivy Drake was also named to the All-Sun Belt first team at catcher. Not only that, she was a finalist for the Freshman of the Year award by the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association. Ivy posted up huge numbers in her freshman campaign, including 22 home runs. She credits the depth of this lineup for her success.
In the lineup, we had a lot of big hitters, so it was people before me and after me both playing a big role in it. If I didn't do it, someone else was going to. We had a great lineup, and it was really hard to kind of pitch around me because of all the other hitters that we had.
Drake plans to continue with her style of play and is hopeful to achieve the same success from her freshman year.
This year I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to try to change a lot. I'm just going to go out and give my best effort and do great at practice.
Along with the leadership of Taylor Anderson and catcher Ivy Drake, the team will travel to Tempe, Arizona, February 12th to play against Oregon in their first game. For Primetime Sports, I'm Nathan Nair.
Thank you, Nathan. That first game is just 28 days away, so let's hope the Lady Panthers can get back into ball shape, as Coach Kincaid mentioned. Before we move any further into the new year, let's take a moment to remember how great Georgia State sports performed in 2015. Last year, the softball team set single-season records in hits, runs, and batting average. They also recorded a program record 102 home runs, demolishing the former record of 59. Georgia State's men's soccer team defeated Georgia Southern in back-to-back games in November of 2015, the latter of which involved the Panthers overcoming a 3-0 deficit and winning the penalty kicks 5-4. The victory allowed the Panthers to advance to the Sun Belt Conference Championship. Likewise, the women's soccer team clinched a spot in the Sun Belt Conference Championships by upsetting the number 2 ranked Troy in a match that also took penalty kicks to decide a winner. Not to be outdone is the football game that sent a shockwave through the state of Georgia. Head coach Trent Miles led his troops down to Statesboro and laid the smackdown on rival Georgia Southern. The Panthers held the Eagles' offense to just 203 total yards in the 34-7 rout, earning the program's first ever bowl game appearance. And who could forget the men's basketball team's historic run in the Sun Belt and NCAA tournament. After capturing the Sun Belt championship, the men's basketball team was pitted against the number 3 seeded Baylor Bears in the NCAA tournament. In the waning seconds, the Panthers trailed by 2 points. R.J. Hunter would then hit what is now dubbed the shot. A 30-foot three-pointer with just under 3 seconds remaining lifted Georgia State over Baylor in an ESPY-nominated upset. Georgia State athletics found much success in 2015. Let's hope they can do the same in 2016. Thanks for being with me. Remember, you can get all the latest Georgia State sports news by subscribing to our YouTube channel at GSU Primetime Sports. Remember, also follow Primetime Sports on Twitter at Prime Sports with a Z. I'm David Schiele. Have a great week.